ran around like Chicken Little saying, hey, there's going to be a major terrorist attack on 9/11. Don't freak out. It's all for your reaction. And so now these things are coming to fruition. So another point of this is that, one, Obama has not deviated from the plan one bit. This is the CFR plan from day one. And if you listen to Bill Cooper, you'll realize the extraterrestrial roots to the Council on Foreign Relations. And two, that I do feel like Governor Schwarzenegger will be one of those 10 regional governors, which to me would be over the top, but everything has been over the top. So I'm really expecting to see him there.
All right.
He is a major proponent for Virgin Galactic, for pushing suborbital Virgin, which I believe will be launching out of the Kodiak launch pad in Alaska. Now, not many people know we have the most highly sophisticated launch facility in Alaska, which is in Kodiak, Alaska. Have a look at that. And then also, Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 2005 was a heavy proponent for stem cell research. And which, of course, opens the door to human cloning.
Yes.
And Bush countered, George W. Bush countered this statement by Arnold Schwarzenegger by bringing out a bunch of stem cell babies that they had saved the cells and they were going to be destroyed. And instead, they went ahead. Well, not, they were sperm cells and eggs that they decided to go ahead and create instead of destroy. And George W. Bush had them all up on stage saying, these children are not spare parts. There are moral lines I cannot cross. I cannot allow for this stem cell research to pass. And then, of course, Obama comes in and says, forget all that. I'm going to loosen all these restrictions and let's start cloning, y'all. And next thing we know, we're cloning rhesus monkeys. And as soon as they were done with these 100 rhesus monkeys, and this was just recently done, they said, okay, we're ready for human. Now, these are going to be the biggest debates that we're going to deal with in our current future, and that is cloning and space war. And that's why
we're looking at Blade Runner scenarios almost here, Freeman.
Yeah, we could be looking at that. Be looking at this new movie Moon. I don't know if you've seen that yet. You can, of course, watch it free on the internet.
That's right. Very, very interesting in terms of cloning. I don't want to give too much away, maybe for those who want to see it, but that's a very good hint. Actually, you're absolutely right, and it could be for the purpose of sending people, human beings, out into space for longer trips. It could be, we could be potentially even talking about genetically engineering the human race to be better fit, as it were, for longer flight travels, either for the purposes of putting them in kind of a gestation period or so they can be asleep for a long time. But it can also be actually that they will have, physical different traits in regards to the bone structure and things like that, and the musculature, so they don't become weak and fall apart as we do right away. What's your take there? Where do you think they will take this? How far will they go with this kind of research?
Well, you brought me straight to the Vatican there, Henrik. Now let's just look into this as where we're going right now. Now, UFO disclosure, we're seeing this on CNN. We're seeing it as main stories of topic. UFO disclosure, National Press Club, all of this type. Five Symington coming forward saying, sorry, I had to lie to you before, but really, that was a alien craft. I don't buy it. This is the program, right? But now the Pope and the Vatican, they come out, and mostly Reverend Funes, who is a Jesuit priest, is the lead astronomer there at the Vatican, who came out and said, aliens are space brothers and don't suffer original sin because they weren't born of Eve. But on top of that, I guess the reason I meant to bring this up was the Pope had said designer babies were the next major threat to humanity. And so, even from the Pope, we are getting this story. And we're looking at where we're going. It's, designer babies, that's Gattaca again. And we're worried about who's going to move forward and who's not. Yeah. Who's going to get these engineered effects and who's not. When you look at my old film, it's old now, I guess, Return of the Nephilim, you'll see where we were covering this concept of space travel using cloning and how that could be the only possible means of traveling light years. But of course, then this includes SIM cores, which is what they were called in the sixth day, or mind transferring technology. Now, you and we discussed this just for a moment. I actually was listening to one of our last show together, and you had brought up Henry Markram's Blue Brain project.
Yeah, that's right, Blue Brain.
And it actually came across my radar, forgetting completely that you had brought it up. You know, it's amazing how much we can learn by going back and re-listening to shows. You know. Anyway, so I began tracking the Blue Brain project and the idea of SIM cores or mind transferring technology and how this would interrelate. Now, this goes right to Avatar, because that's what we're looking at. Now, when we realized that Avatar, they were saying, okay, the hero of the show was not supposed to be the hero. His twin brother had died. But they had to select the twin brother because his DNA matched the clone that they had created to transfer his soul into.
Yes.
That makes me wonder a lot about the cloning of Obama, I must say. Because, you know, do we need this particular genetic line to bring back this entity? Because, you know, I've covered a lot of times how, and you can get this out of even the golden tablets or the emerald tablets of Thoth, of specific genetic bloodlines incarnating particular entities through rites and rituals.
Yes. And
then we're always got to question why our leaders are going through these strange rites and rituals. Most people don't even know that this is occurring.
Yeah.
But when we start to look into this mind transferring technology, and you had guided me to Blue Brain, although I found it again later on my own, I started to realize where we're at with this. Now, Benjamin Funes, the reverend that I was speaking of that was working for the CERN, or with the Vatikan astronomy, is also now coupled with CERN. And this happened the day after the Norway spiral. They announced that Gabriel Gianti would be joining with CERN to find this God particle, or the astro particle as they called it. I don't know whether they're referring to the Higgs boson or not. They call it the astro particle. This might be something completely different, another spiritual level.
I think it is the Higgs boson particle, but yeah, carry on.
So we have this connection on all of these levels going straight to the Vatican.
Do you think they're funding the projects? Do you think that they have another interest when it comes to this kind of research, Freeman?
I do. Well, if you look into my research, go back to Sorcerers of Atlantis, and we start looking into these city-states, and there's a great film called The Empire of the City, which is a great documentary on the idea of the city-states and the power that they hold with the Vatican, London, and Washington, D.C. Now, the curious note is that when we are starting to look into our extraterrestrial outlines of the universe, what is now known as exopolitics, you find that the two main races involved are the Syrians and the Alpha Draconans. And of course, these just happen to be the main symbols that we see in these city-states. So the Vatican, of course, wears the Dagon hat, and that goes back to the fish god of Dagon. And we see an obelisk, a dome, set up within a geometric pattern that looks like a keyhole. And this obelisk dome and a pentagram are actually the symbols of the star Sirius in Egyptian hieroglyphs. So we're seeing also in every nation, and in each one of these city-states, we see this obelisk dome symbolism. We find that we've got the fishman symbolism with the Pope, and that goes back to the Syrians. We have the dragon in connection with the city of London, and this goes to the Alpha Draconans. When you start to look into what these two extraterrestrial sources are meant to be doing, of course, the Syrians are into the high-tech warfare, high-tech space programs and all of this, using their knowledge to stay neutral. And when we see what the Alpha Draconans are up to, it is describing exactly what the Crown is up to. And then we find that they put up these obelisks around each one. And we find Cleopatra's Needle placed in on the Thames there in London in 1877. Now, this is the same year that the District of Columbia was crafted as it is as a separate